All right, Reusse Unchained here. We have sent Judd Zolgad out on assignment for Purple Daily because Quasey is talking here, so he's going to be out
Wow.
there at press conference.
Is he going to
But
make is he going to talk about intentional decisions,
intentional
intentional?
decisions to say goodbye to Ed Ingram and Garrett
Yes.
Bradbury.
What was the
Quasey, why
one?
did you punt those guys to the curb? It was a collaborative, intentional decision.
what what was this great one a couple of weeks ago? I can't remember what it was. He had a you had to have that Ivy League education to figure out what the hell he was talking about with that one. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's we still don't have the backup quarterback, but that's okay. My dream of Jameis Winston was didn't go too well, but they'll find somebody. What's your guess now, fellas? What are we guessing on
Yeah,
Purple Daily?
we can handicap. Let's handicap this for a few minutes. So the options right now are Carson Wentz is still sitting out there. Joe Flacco is available.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan Tannehill, they've had discussions with. He has not played in 2 years, but he's only
Mm-hmm.
36 years old, which is younger than Flacco.
Yes.
And then your guy Trey Lance is still sitting out there. He's
Yes.
played about 6 football games since high school, so
Yes.
not sure.
That's the problem. When you look back at him, he led him to the national championships as a freshman and was named the number one player at FCS. COVID came, and he only so he didn't they he only played the one game in the spring.
Yeah.
That's it. And then he went into the draft, and they took him third. So it's really not his fault. He's not prepared, but he had an agent saying you can't go out and get hurt, so you can't
Yeah.
come back. They're going to draft you this high. So it's it's interesting. He's talented, but he's a real good athlete, but he has kind of a funky delivery, and I don't know I don't know if he'll ever make it or not. But
He'd be a great candidate as like their third or fourth
yeah,
guy in quarterback rehab school, sit on the
yes.
practice squad and just kind of see if there's a way to rejuvenate your NFL career. But yeah, beyond that,
And meanwhile, his brother has turned into a fantastic receiver up there who didn't play for 3 years. Basically, only played special teams. And the new coach brought him in, Bryce, I believe, and I did a piece on him. And he was the hero of the FCS title game. He made this fantastic catch do you remember? Did you see the one-handed catch at the end of the
Yeah.
game to win
yeah,
it? That
yes, yeah.
and he's got some talent. So yeah, the Vikings. It's 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 gotten to a point that when Quasi talks, it's an event. You got to go out and cover it because he does about 3 press conferences a year, doesn't he?
Yeah, and then the biggest thing yesterday. So there's this big NFLPA golf outing, this annual golf outing in Mexico, and they bring
Yes.
current former players down. And JJ McCarthy was down there doing an interview with your gal Kay Adams on her Up and Adams
Okay.
show, and she asked about like just kind of a nondescript question about, hey, what was it like, that they kind of like turned the keys over to you to be the number one quarterback, and JJ McCarthy said, well, they haven't actually told me yet that I'm QB1, but I'm glad that they aren't because I want to earn it and all these things.
Yeah.
But now, there's a bunch of conversation on the peripheral about how have the Vikings not told him? Why have they not told him he's QB1? There doesn't need to be like a
No, no,
proclamation behind the scenes,
you go to mini camp, and he's with the first team. That's
Yeah, you look around the
that.
room and yep, okay, I'm under center. Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's yeah, we are looking for angles that don't exist. That's for sure. In that case, but meanwhile, we have our fighting twinks to worry about. I don't like the lineup. I don't like the lineup with the injuries and everything. Am I wrong here? The catching's the same. Vasquez is you can't get rid of him as much as you tried. So he's gonna catch 40% of the time, and the other guy's gonna catch 60. Ty France, uh, he's gonna have to play almost every day because you don't have another first baseman coming off 2 horrible years. Eddie's on the team and probably the second baseman, right? To start with. And Carlos is, Carlos has had a lousy spring, but I guess that doesn't mean anything. But Miranda's also your third baseman now, so and putting the two left-handed hitters in the corners. Uh, I hope so. I have big hope. I got bigger hopes for Larnick than Wallner. Actually, I think Larnick could hit 30 home runs.
Declan's big
But
on the Larnick bandwagon
Yeah.
here too this
yeah,
He's
season.
I mean,
just
when he puts bat in the ball well, it goes. I mean, so with Wallner, no, but he puts
yeah.
bat in the ball more than Wallner.
Pat,
So.
can you imagine in like 2006 of baseball and imagining what the Twins opening day lineup looks like and convincing yourself in '06? We're not going to have the Luis Castillos at the top. We're actually going to have Matt Wallner, who
But
is either
yes,
going to home run or strike out in 66% of his at-bats this season.
yes. Well, the Yankees were. What are they trying to decide whether to bat Judge or somebody else? First, Shohei leading off, stuff like
Yep.
that. It's completely different. The first manager to ever do that, to not take the plucky guy and put him at the top of the order, even if he hit 260. Mock at the California Angels. He hit Brian Downing first, and everybody thought he
Oh,
was, Browning, right-handed hitting, slugger type, got a lot of walks. Uh, he let him off, and people were saying, "What is that? We need the short, fast, plucky guy leading off. What's going on here?" So
yeah.
but it took a long time for other people to start doing it that way. But
Yeah, no one even like really thought about on base percentage until I don't know, the sometime in the 90s or the early
yes,
2000s.
that's
It was
right.
about
Yeah.
it was speed, it was tools, it was speed. Can you put the
Yes,
bat on the ball? Can you work a count? All those things.
yeah, it was. It is amazing how that the game has changed incredibly, and just what is valued and what is not, and it also has resulted in the biggest problem that baseball has, which is the ball not being in play because
Yeah.
you don't swing. You don't swing as much. But I don't know. Am I wrong? I don't like the lineup. I mean, well, this is also based on Buxton. He's when it's over, if you get 110 games out of him, it's a miracle, right?
Yes.
And
Yeah. I mean,
so, and then Harrison Bader doesn't do much for
no
me, and
glove.
so I and the and here's the other thing that really caught your eye. I was reading the Strib story the other day. All these hot prospects they have, every one of them has been injured.
Yeah.
you know, the second baseman just came back. What he played 4 innings
Keyshaw.
or 5 innings
Yeah.
yesterday. Keyshaw, Emmanuel Rodriguez, man, he's got everything. He played 37 games last year. He's played like I think it was I figured it out. He played 169 out of 400 games or something
Yeah.
since he started playing. So we gotta get somebody healthy here and play 145 games like you're supposed to. We used to criticize Rodney because he'd take 15 games off a year. He'd only play 140, 142. What's wrong with this guy? 'Cause Mock, it was considered a miracle when Mock got him to play 155 games in 1977, and had a pretty good year. He, was on the cover of Time and Sports Illustrated the same week. But
Yeah.
uh, yeah, it's an incredibly changed game. And
Pat, we have Trevor Plouffe back with us on Tuesdays now on the
oh,
Twin Show.
good.
And he kind of pointed us to a question that he was asked that he had a tough time answering. What's the 2025 Twins identity? Is it pitching? Like, I mean, their pitching should be
Yes,
pretty good, but what is their identity in 2025?
that's it. I mean, don't you bullpen? Maybe bullpen is
Yeah.
that?
I need to see the I know everyone's saying it's the best bullpen in baseball.
I'm not going that far.
Duran, I need to see him back to the old
Yes,
version. I need to see
yes.
a little bit.
Griffin Jacks, I love, and that doesn't make me unique. I think he's fantastic.
Yeah.
Uh, and Cole Sands is one of the great stories in Twins history. 2 years ago, it's okay, they're losing, they're losing this game. They just brought Cole Sands in. They're 2 runs down. They don't care if they get beat by six. And
Yeah.
now he's good. I mean, he's
Yeah.
terrific. And he was one of the guys you wondered, why are they hanging? Why are they keeping this guy around? So he's really good. They need a lefty. They don't have any left-handed pitching really in the system, but I think probably bullpen, although I don't think it's quite as deep as we give them credit for. So
Yeah.
I don't know what they're. But the thing is, I think baseball seasons, unless you're the Yankees and unless you're the really good teams or the really bad teams, I think there's now about 18 teams in the middle that it's whatever vibe the team develops. It's it's whatever vibe the team develops, however they play. Last year it was, you had two different vibes. You had how has this happened, and then how have they played this well for 3 months, and then this is awful. But at the end, they were what they were supposed to be, right? 80
Yeah.
and 80, or they were what they were
Right.
supposed to be at the end. So
Yeah.
I don't think they're as good this year as they were last year, but then again, a lot of it depends on health.
This is one in terms of like fan vibes to start the season. And
Yeah,
you kind of touched on this because Cardinals fans are mad at their
Matt.
organization
Yeah,
too. This is it's a weird dynamic in that the Twins. I don't know that they're going to be flirting with 100 wins, but like if guys do stay healthy, there's talent and they could be competitive. But I feel like until the poll ads sell the team, people got so excited at the announcement that they were going to
yes,
sell the team.
yes.
And now we're sitting here all these months later, and there's no end in sight, and it's a weird vibe among fans. I feel like to start the season.
And then we have bloggers putting out the news that they've turned down an offer for market value. Well, who established market value, and who knows that to be true? Because Ishbia backed off, we saying, oh, well, they turned down market, but we have no idea what they turned down. Nobody knows. It's all crap. But then there's the story out. I think the Athletic did it that the Joe Poland wants to keep running the team.
Yeah.
I don't buy that. I can't believe he's that
So
stupid.
somebody else buys the team, and then what? Based on merit, they would hire
What do
him
they
to.
want to do the Glenn Taylor thing that we run it for a while after we sell it? I don't think that's going to work.
Super weird.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't believe that. I don't believe that story. I think maybe you know yeah, the only way I could see it is if they're putting a Minnesota group together and the poll ads are going to
Oh
keep
yeah,
20% of the team because they can't get the
makes
money
sense.
together.
Yeah.
Then I can see that maybe that's it. Okay, then we want to protect our interest or something like that. But if some billionaire from New York buys it, they're smart enough to know everybody's out the door probably eventually here. So
Yeah.
I don't buy it. But people wanna come up with stories now that put the poll ads in the worst possible light, right? So
Yeah.
I don't, yeah. And
Yeah. There's
St.
definitely.
St. Louis is pretty amazing. Bernie, I don't know if you saw my column today, but I talked to Bernie and he said, "Oh, I'm never going to another game as long as the DeWitts own the team. And they want local ownership." He says, "We got local ownership with Stan Kroenke. How'd that work out?" you
Yeah.
know, he was a St. Louis guy. How'd that work out? So, not that the Cardinals will ever leave. It is an incredible market, and they're so mad at him. They're only going to draw 2.5 or 2.6 million this
Right.
year down
As
there.
opposed to the 1.5 that the
Right, yes.
Twins,
Twins will get.
whatever they're going to draw. Hey, did you guys touch on Nico Medved? Well, he did his press conference since your
Yeah,
podcast on Monday. And
yeah,
then last night, Richard Pitino finally
yes.
gets one of those
Xavier.
Eastern sort of top 20 jobs he's been eyeing for a long time, Xavier.
He was mentioned for NC State, and then they went with the Honorable Will Wade, and then Virginia was. They just went right down the road and got somebody, right? Somebody Virginia was
Okay.
mentioned, and then then last weekend. Now this again is Bleacher Report or somebody saying that he was. They were talking. He was in the picture for Iowa, perhaps, and that was my hope. That he would get the Iowa job. It'd be great if he was coming up here and playing the Gophers. But now he ends up at Xavier, and I think Xavier on the surface isn't that much better of a job than New Mexico. But the Mountain West is blowing up because of the Pac-12 is stealing what 4, 5, 6 of those teams. So the Mountain West is not going to be much anymore. So he was taking whatever job he is. And now he gets to coach against the old man, too. So that's great. They're both in the Big East. So that's terrific. If he hangs around long enough, 3, 4, 5 years from now, St. Thomas will be in the Big East too, and we'll get him back here. If he's still
Let's
in
go.
Xavier, St. Thomas will be in the Big East.
How about that deal for Johnny Tower, by the way? So he goes from being, he was dominant as a Division III
Yeah.
basketball coach. They won a national championship, 9 years,
Yes.
whatever it was.
Yes.
But Johnny Tower is now sitting here. He might have a tournament team if they can win
Yes.
the Summit League next year.
New arena, 5,500, 6,000 will be full. They'll,
Yeah.
My theory is now that you got Nico, who's a dynamic guy, and he's not worried about getting beat by St. Thomas. I think he's enough of a salesman. The first game at the new building in St. Thomas should be Gophers at St. Thomas.
That would be fun.
That would be fun. Nico can start there. He can, you get beat, so what? If you beat him, great. But everybody will have a good time. You'll fill the arena, and then you can play him in a rematch a month later at Williams Arena. Let's what Nico's going to prove to me. He's different by what I see his non-conference schedule looks like. If he's bringing in Bethune-Cookman and these other schools for, paying them 60, 70,000 for Chicago State and that crap, and expect people to show up at Williams Arena, the hell with it. Let play a schedule. I know you're going to play some dogs.
And you want to get to 20 wins if you can. So there's got to be a couple dogs in there.
Don't you think though? It's still, you still got to go to the Big Ten tournament and win. You got to get to the final 8 of the Big Ten tournament.
It's mostly about finishing above 500 in the regular season and then doing a little damage in the postseason.
Yes, but the guy is, it was a popular enough hire that PJ had to push himself into it to try to get some publicity for himself. So, I can't remember PJ bringing the team over for Ben. Did you? When he got announced, I can't remember doing that.
It's funny because Nico has energy and and he can kind of sell a room, but standing next to PJ in the football practice facility, he still doesn't quite match PJ's ability to speak to a full room.
Yeah, he was. I think I really feel Coyle went into this season thinking he was going to fire Ben, and that Ben would have had. But when they had that 6-3 run, if he had done, if they hadn't then gone in the tank, I've said that if you looked at Ben in the last minute of that Wisconsin game, he knew it was over. He knew that was his chance because they caught him from behind. They went ahead of him. They had a chance to beat him. They had a chance to get to dang near 500 in the Big Ten. Then he probably would have saved his job. But when the way they finished and they had this guy lined up and Thorson, I'm sure that Ben is looking over his shoulder saying, whose side was Thorson on here down the stretch? Because he's the first guy that, I like Thorson a lot, but he's the first guy that Nico said he wants on his staff. And the kid that played at Iowa State, we had out the Ari, the kid with the long Arab name, is probably going to replace him, the 37-year-old out there at Colorado State. But if he doesn't, he'll be on the staff here too, because he's supposed to be dynamic as can be. But,
and Doogie's hearing that he's gonna grab at least a couple players, including the starting point guard from Colorado State. And transfer. 1,000 players hit the transfer portal yesterday in the middle of the NCAA tournament. Pat, that is over 20% of all Division I college players hit the portal yesterday.
It's I said this last week, and I really believe it. You're going to get players eventually whose team advances to the Sweet 16, and during that week, they say, "I'm not playing."
I got $2 million on the table from.
Unless I get another deal, I'm not playing. it's they got to get some control over it. They're not going to put the cork in it, but there's
Mhm.
got to be. I mean, why? I guess so they can get why would they start the portal on March 24th? Why wouldn't they wait
It's
till April?
ridiculous.
Yeah, why
It's
wouldn't they wait till April 5th or something?
it doesn't make it's the dumbest thing, and
Mhm.
there's so many things. Why
But
is it
but yeah,
why
yeah,
is it any year anyway? It should be either multi-year contracts or you get one shot at the portal in your career. It should not be that
yeah.
you can just bounce around
Well,
anytime you want.
yeah. Frank, our guy Frank, he's gone again, right? Because he wouldn't be playing. But so they got they got Asima and 3 recruits. That's it, right? Coming in, and the recruits aren't, and the recruits no longer sign a like I have to go there deal. It's just that I can take this scholarship unless I decide not to.
Well, yeah,
Is
and your recruits are like it's more about looking at the mid majors for players that are like, can you get the second best
yes,
player on a mid major team and grab him in the portal
and then
versus developing a 19-year-old?
and then the mid majors are all stealing Division Two's best players. So they're
Yeah.
they're coming. It's it's crazy, but he's got to get an entire team. He's got, everybody's gone again. He's in the same situation Johnson was last year
Yeah.
after when everybody left him. So
Yeah. Hey, I have one more question here in the last minute here, just totally random. Back to Johnny Tower, St. Thomas coach for a second. So he's been, I see something brewing here in the future that could be interesting. Because anytime any small, like the Bryant, Martelli's kid, Martelli Jr. coached
yeah,
Bryant to a 16 seed. And then, well, he just grabbed the VCU job after
okay,
a couple years at Bryant. So Johnny Tower's been at St. Thomas basically since like 1991 as a player, and then
yes,
he went and got his degree for a couple years. But he was an assistant from 2000 to 2011, and then he's been their coach from D3 to D1 from 2011 to the present. So essentially, most of his adult life since 1991, he's
yes,
been St. Thomas basketball. If they get to the tournament and let's say they pull a 15-2 upset or something, or even if they just are really good and they get to the tournament, he's going to get offers to go somewhere besides St. Thomas. And I'm
I
wondering,
think
it's going to be really interesting.
I think he could have gotten one, but he's such a St. Paul guy. He's so
Okay.
wired in. He's a Cretan guy. He's such a wired in St. Paul guy. He teaches. He still teaches over there. He
Yeah.
teaches classes, not
But you're telling me
high
like
end.
if Drake calls him after,
Well,
in 2 years.
I don't know. Drake calls and makes 1.6 or something. I don't know. But I would be very surprised. I mean, he's as he's as St. Paul Cretan Catholic as you can get. His dad was coached with all these guys, and the Towers have been in the St. Paul the St. Paul portal forever. So
Yeah.
I don't see it happening. Although I did try to call him the day Nico got the job. Maybe he actually took a vacation. He's down in the Caribbean or something, but I didn't. Usually he gets right back, but he probably knew I wanted to have him. Maybe he didn't want to give me a quote on how he and
Or,
Nico are big
or
buddies.
maybe he's taking the New Mexico job now. I don't know. It could be.
No, he wouldn't do that. He wouldn't do. I wouldn't be surprised to see that other great Cretan guy though, Sean Sweeney, take one of these jobs here, the
Yeah.
assistant at Dallas. He might show up in New Mexico or someplace like that. He'll be great.
Yeah.
He'd be, he'd be great because he would have been great back when the rules when if you broke some rules you could do well, right? I mean, to me, what wasn't the highlight of the tournament, Calipari playing Patino? I mean, wasn't that your
Yeah.
Calipari playing Patino was
Yeah.
fantastic. Two, two guys who never saw a rule they cared about in their life.
And because of it, now
Now
they're
they're
at
heroes.
Arkansas and St. John's because of it. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. Now they're heroes. Now they're heroes. So,
Yep. All right,
all
Pat.
right,
We'll
gentlemen.
catch you again on Friday, sir.
Okay, we'll be able to review that Twins opener, and it's amazing how involved you can get in the first game of the season when it's 0.7% of the season, but we can get all worked up about
That's
it.
right.
So
We'll do a
that'll
full
be good.
breakdown
Oh,
on
yeah.
Friday.
All right. See you guys.
All right. Reusse
Thanks, Pat.
Unchained, Score North.